we'll jet them. In case we ever have to go deeper or something, but like I said, over here, we're pretty confident.
I told you, I looked at it after you'd filled it with sand, and I could see water above this. You couldn't see sand. I saw water reflecting.
Yes, that's static. That's exactly what we want to see. Yeah. What that is that's your available water. Little useless knowledge. I'm full of it. Whenever you're pulling on it, because of the way the screens are, it causes a little bit of turbulent velocity as it's coming in. Like we talked about that icing, it starts drawing it in. It can make a cone of depression, but the higher your static is your available drawdown, because it'll get to a point where it moves in easily. Of course, obviously, water moves in easily. It doesn't do anything. It just moves in easily. But you have this up here. It takes the pressure off the formation, so you don't have that cone of depression. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. The higher the water, the better your well is. You have a higher drawdown availability, and it'll draw it down. So when you start pumping, then it's going to get to the point where the water can bring in the same time and equal out the head pressure. It's got several factors, but the head pressure and what it can, the screens can handle, the sands can handle, and the well produces. And what it say produces is the way water moves in is a differential in head pressure. Like right now, whatever that comes up to, we can calculate that from how much water you got and tell you what the head pressure is in that formation. You don't need to know, but if you wanted to, you could, because that's where it comes from. So when you start pulling it down, you got a differential in head, so it starts getting that water moving, and that's what we're doing right now. It's called developing. We're getting all that cleaned out because they call it aquifer damage. I hate using that word, but the drilling mud that we use gets off into the aquifer too, and actually plugs it off. That's what we try to. That way we can get in and out of it with our case, because you can't stack wet sand. So we do that so that it can't take water, but it can't give water. But what we're fixing to do is clean all that out. You'll see it'll clear up, and we'll bounce it some more, and it'll get dirty again. And that's all that stuff from the aquifer trying to come in on this stuff.
Gotcha. I'm videotaping it.
Okay, well.
For fun.
Well, I got you a lecture in there too, then, apparently. So.
That's all right. That's cool. So that's all the way at the bottom?
Sometimes we'll push it down in that hole. There'll be a lot of sediment down there. Like we didn't jet it right after, so all that's had time to settle. We might have shoved it down in there and it's back up. We got to pull it out. It ain't no big deal, is it?
So you pulled it out of the sand at the bottom.
Just like I told you, sometimes you get to that's all that happens. That's all you got to do to it. See how nasty the water is? That's your drilling mud. See that real clear stuff at the top? That's your head. That's your actual well water. Because the mud and everything, it's got the encapsulated all that mud and everything, so it's heavier. So it's at the bottom, so your good water sits at the top. So it'll clear up even more than it was. I mean, it'll be crystal clear. You can drink.
So it'll clear all the way down to the cap at the bottom.
So yeah, right now we're sitting at the cap. What we'll do is we're going to jet it for a little bit here, and then we're going to pick it up 5-10 foot, do it there. That way we get each section of that screen. We want to make sure to isolate each one and get it real good, so that way your well produces all it can, and it's cleaned up. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, it's a good one all the way down to the yeah. Another success. Now we just got to make sure it doesn't make sand. That's the only other issue we got. Which the sand went down, and I don't think it's going to work out. What it's doing right now is called percolating. We just get just enough air, so it sends a bubble of air down there, so it does this. And what it does is that it creates a void that allows the air or the water to come in from the well, and then it just stacks. And what you're seeing is that air stacking the water enough to throw it out.
Gotcha.
It just barely overcome. The thing is when you put air in it, a lot of times it'll overcome the head pressure that we're talking about, and it'll push some of it back. So it'll pump more than it jets. So it'll actually produce a lot more. However, whatever we physically see, because we don't know exactly what that is, the differential in that, we don't know because everyone's different. We only size our pumps for what it'll jet. Therefore, we know it'll pump more, therefore we know it'll never, ever, ever outrun your well, because I know it'll produce more than what the pump will put in it. Does that make sense? So, so that's the reason we're doing this right now. This is going to size your pump. Every well is sized specific. The pump is sized specifically for that well, each individual one.
Okay.
And there's so many variables in there: the depth, the static, how much it makes, all that, the replenishment rate, all that goes into account to do that. But that way we can give you that 5-year warranty. You know, because we don't want to eat that pump. I'm gonna be honest with you. But we make sure everything runs as long as it possibly can on this side of it. But like I said, when we hit it, that's what we're doing. We're cleaning it up. It does something, cleans it up. It takes care of the aquifer damage I'm talking about. And also it allows us to see what the replenishment rate is, and it allows us to size our pump.
Gotcha.
For this well.
Gotcha.
It's already trying to clean up. When they make a lot of water, they clean up real fast. When they make a lot of water, you have a less chance of making sand.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. So does that water down there stay about the same temperature all year long?
All year long, yes. About 65 degrees. Summertime it'll put you in the shock, it's so cold. Wintertime you can warm your hands with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I bring my son out. This is the part he likes. I said, strip down your underwear, bud. He'll get out here in that water, play in the water while I'm cooking. He'll say, all right, Daddy, do it. I'll blast it all the way, and it'll knock him down, you know. Like a big fire hose when you hit it all the way.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, shut it down. Wait about 5 seconds and then slide up and then back up here. We'll do this, we'll shut it down for a couple of seconds and that allows it, but now we're checking our replenishment rate now. Next week's to hit it hard. No. Wide open. Woo! This 5 seconds, wide open. 5 seconds. Yeah, no, let it sit for 5 seconds. Let it wide up, let it blow, and then cut it back. That's a big deal for water right there. That's a lot. It does once we clean it up, we do that, and it gets all that junk out. And then start over. The 4-inch pipe, I can't remember how many 100 gallons. That's what that was. That was a lot. I would say it was 100 gallons, obviously. They get the 100 gallons a minute.
Gotcha.
It's doing really, really good.
Out of the way, boys.
We're good. This is their place. I'm a visitor.
I'm surprised the dogs aren't freaking out. So it builds like it builds like a bubble underneath of the water, and then it bloops it up. Gotcha.
It's making about 65 gallons a minute right now, and we haven't even cleaned it up yet. Yeah, it's at the bottom. That water's already in there, right? The water, so we just got that water coming, you know, it's kind of caught in the bathtub, you know, it just bubbles up. And what it does is when it does, that water's falling back down and shooting back up in there. And that's how we clean it. That's the only other way we can. And And as we're blowing out the muddy water, well, it's getting more and more and more and more diluted with that clean water. And like I said, when we're done here, when we leave here, it'll be crystal clear coming out. So.
Cool.
More than likely though, it'll be a horse and a half 25. That's the biggest we can get you without a control box, and like we talked about before, you don't need to spend the money on the control box and the next size up. To make any difference, you probably have to go up to a 5 horse, and it is considerable difference in price.
Yeah.
There's no reason, so just like the price we quoted you, that's what it'll be. We use the extra, I've had to look and see, I think extra 6 or 7 bags of whole plug, and it's $15 a bag, and that's really it other than what you were quoted. So. Could be at 55 plus whatever that comes up to be. What is that? 34, 30, or 60, maybe about right under $100 over. So, and once you get your power, like I said, 100 we come back out. That's part of that bid too, and we do the final setup. Because like I said, I can't get every 100% of the solids out doing this way, but we're pumping it out a whole lot better. Once we set the pump, we'll open-ended blow it, let it pump for a little while, then he'll install that cycle stop valve, and then usually we have a customer run them about 24 hours. We'll get a hose off in the woods and just run them, let them run, and it just gets everything seated, just pulls everything where it needs to go, and gets everything packed in, they're going good.
Gotcha.
Then you'll be ready to put it online. And of course in that time you can test it up.
He really likes water,
Yeah.
so he's trying to figure out if he can go over there and drink. The dog can stand in the water in the lake and drink for 5 minutes.
Oh, I bet he could. He could stand in the middle of the lake. Probably do.
It's funny. You had to get him to go near our pool, you had to make him go, but he would go in, you could get him in. He can't swim, he's too heavy. But man, at first when he got here, and the very first time we came, he walked up to the edge of the water and bent way down to drink. Now he walks about a foot in,
Oh, yeah.
gets wet up to about here, and then drinks. It's easier.
Yeah.
It's getting light. It's getting clearer.
Talked to Jason this morning. He's got a little bit of a project. Now, we might be able to come back and install the pump. We'll probably go get it this afternoon, not first thing in the morning.
Well, I'm gonna pour a slab next week, I think.
Yeah. Well, we should have, it won't matter where the casing comes up. We'll have this sleeve around it, and we'll have a well seal up there. Now, your plumbing and stuff won't be done, but we can have the pump and all that installed, and the wire just kind of rolled up out there, ready to go. And then you can do your slab around it, do what you need to. Or if you want, we can just put a cap. We're going to dress it either way. We'll have this installed with the concrete. We'll have that either way. And we can put a cap on it, put it, and install that pump later. You know, once
Well, they're gonna pour, I'm gonna form it, get it all ready,
Right.
and then when they pour I'm done here. I got enough.